Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Tasya Wulandari from 5BA class in English Department, State Polytechnic Sriwijaya. Here I would like to present you about the types of variables. There are two types of variables that we will meet in doing research. The first is categoric and the second is continuous. But before telling you far about the types, I will tell you what is the meaning of the variable itself. The variable is something that becomes the target, since the variable has a variety of values and has variability that can be divided into several types or categories. It is become a phenomenon that makes the researchers interesting to observe and or measure. Okay, let's go on. The types of the variable. The first is categoric. I'll divide it into three parts. The first is definition, second is the purpose, and the next or the third is example. The first is about the definition. The definition is the categorical variables are those characteristics which are not numerically measurable. These variables are either nominal by using no natural ordering or ordinal ordered by using ordered categories. So what is the differences between of them? The nominal variables allow for only classification or categorization with the different characteristic, but we cannot rank order those categories. And different from the nominal variables, ordinal variables allow us to rank order the categories in terms of which category who has less or has more the quality, but the distance between categories are not known. Okay, go on to the next. It's about the purpose. The purpose of this variable is the data to enter the data and analysis using software. The categories are all coded assigning numerical values. Okay, go on to the next example. The next is about the example. The first example is coming from the nominal variables. For example, is gender, religion, blood group, symptoms of disease, cause of death. These variables is using numerical values assigned to different categories that is useful for the purpose of identification. For example, one is for male, two is for female. The next, these variables is only has two categories. For example, life or death, male or female. That called binary or dichotomous. And these variables is summarized by through counting or frequency and expressing proportion of each category by percentage. Okay, let's go on to the next example. Is coming from ordinal variable. In medicine, is called stage of the disease, stage 1 to stage 4, or in bahasa we say it's stadium. We know that stage 1 is less severe than stage 2, but actually we don't know or we cannot tell the exact differences between of them. And the next example is when we calculate our weight or BMI. The next, this variable is using numerical values assigned for various categories, but differences from the nominal variable. This variable is useful for identification as well as rank ordering. For example, 1 low, 2 middle, and 3 high income group. The next, same as the nominal and the same as nominal variable. Ordinal variable is also summarized through counting or frequency and expressing proportion of each category or percentage. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. It's about the second types of variables. It is continuous. I will also divide it into three parts. The first is about the definition. Second is what is the important thing to remember when we will use these types. And the last is about the example. Okay, what is the definition? The definition of these types is include interval and ratio scale and consists of variables that have meaningful numerical values. Continuous variables are measured numerically and have an infinite number of possible values. So, when we assign a numeric code to a categorical variable, the numbers are not meaningful since the assignment of number was arbitrary, or in Indonesia is take the rata-rata. Okay, go on to the next slide. What is the important to think or to remember when we use these types is first, the continuous variable is considered ratio if it has a meaningful 0 point. For example, when we face the variable of age or distance. And the second is the continuous variable is considered interval if it can be measured alone but doesn't have a meaningful 0 point. For example, is the temperature measured in Fahrenheit or Celsius. And the last two things to remember is the level of the measurement of variables influences what analysis can conduct. Okay, next, go on to the next slide is about the example. The example is the variable gender consists of 3 levels, right? For example, male is 1, female is 2, and the others, we don't know it yet, as called as 3. Then we take the mean of the number associated with each level, also known as the numeric code, that it will yield a value. Or what I just told you before, that it is take only the rata-rata. What is the meaning of this mean value? No, nothing, because the number for arbitrary assigned to each level, or only take the rata-rata for each level. Okay, go on to the next slide. To the next slide is about the data table example. From all the example that I have just told to you, I summarized it into the criteria. To make it clear, I'll summarize it to make it different, become the criteria, characteristics, score, example, and measurement. There are four variable that I have just told to you. The first is nominal. The characteristic is category. By using category and classification, the score is there is no value. The example is trip or suku in bahasa, rich 1, poor is 0. And using the measurement is using mode. Ordinal characteristic by using levels, order, and the distance is not known. And there is no absolute 0. And the example for the score and example is, for example, position, first, second, third winner, and the measurement is using median. And for the interval variables, the characteristics is the levels and the distance is the same. The score, there is no absolute 0. And again, and the example is the temperature, for example, 34 Celsius, and the measurement is mean. And for the last one is about the ratio variables. The characteristics is by using rankings. The distance is the same. The score is there is no absolute 0. There is absolute 0, and the example is weight, height, for example, 10 kilograms and 1,67 meter, and the measurement is mean, by using mean. Okay, go on to the next slide. It is to make it all clear, I'll give the exactly example. First, in this table, we can see there is number, name, class, score, and rank price. For the notes, because of the class column is the category, class column is the classification, because it is called the ordinal data. And the score, because it is about the level, so it is called interval data. And the rank column, because it is the levels, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, so it is called ordinal data. And for the price column, because it is the rankings of the price, the price, so it called the ratio data. Okay, I think that's all for about my presentation. Thank you for your great attention, and I'm sorry if there is a mistake. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.